Hello. Yes, my screen froze, and I'm actually wearing all my armor right now. This is not a picture.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Yet Another LARP podcast. With me, your co-host Mark/Lucan.
And me, Matt/Saren.
And today we have a very, very special two-dimensional treat for you today. We have Mr. Smudd AKA Stuart with us.
Hello. Yes, my screen froze, and I'm actually wearing all my armor right now. This is not a picture.
Someone was tickling him right as it froze as well.
He's always prepared, is Finian Smudd. Always battle wearing.
What have we got planned today, Matthew? I think everyone knows, don't they?
Absolutely. So what do we have planned? Well, we're obviously joined by the lovely Stuart / Finian Smudd, and we're going to be talking about the marches, the nation that is the marches, and why it's the second best imperial nation after Wintermark.
Oh wow, that's a hot take right there, and also wrong. Understandable.
Did anyone believe me? Could they believe that statement? No, they didn't believe it.
It's all subjective.
It is the best nation. It is the best nation.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, even if it is wrong. That's fair enough.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Apologies, we are slightly late today. We were just talking about random crap.
We just had a really nice talk, weren't
Really
we?
good chat. I loved it.
What I think would be cool to do is maybe we could do a second either video or audio podcast sometime where we just talk about random stuff with guests, like non-LARP related stuff.
LARPers talking about everything but LARP.
Yeah.
So yet another LARP, not LARP podcast.
Oh, sign me up.
Yeah,
I'm sub.
I mean,
there we go. Sub.
You're in, Stu. You're in.
Yeah, that's it. Done.
Co-host.
Yeah.
So let's not go that far.
Yeah. One of the things we were just chatting about was the classic prelude to TikTok, and that was Vine, which some of our viewers will know. Some of our viewers may not know about it.
So yeah, put a V in the chat if you remember Vine.
V for Vine in the chat, yeah.
V for Vine.
I put one in because I remember. Do you know we were so into Vine for we went on a stag do once, and it was it was like a kick football day. So we did that. Kick golf, sorry, not kick football. All football is kick. It was like foot golf. But it was in like a pretty not exciting town, so we tried to go out into town and it was just rubbish. We ended up coming back to the hotel, getting really drunk, and we were watching Vines, but one of our friends was so into Vines, he was in like hysterical fits, and we ended up just watching him watching Vines.
Oof.
Which was a strange experience, but that's how good Vine was. You could just watch people watching it.
Bring back Vine.
Look at all the oldies in the chat.
Jeez, I'm loving this. Hell yeah.
Anyway, so Stuart, as always, when we have somebody on, we like to find out how they got into LARP in the first place before we even delve into their character. So, what path brought you along to Empire, but also LARP? If you've done any LARP before Empire.
Okay. Wow. Good question. So, right off the bat, how did I get into LARP? So, as I'm sure most of your viewers and yourselves probably got into LARP, I used to play. Well, I've been playing D&D since I was 14. Cut my teeth on the red box back in the day, 4th edition, terrible edition. I used to play with a group at our local comic book store. And I joined this group, and one day they were like going, "Oh yeah, make sure you've got your money, yeah." And so, and I was like, "Oh, what are you guys talking about?" And they were like, "Oh, we're going to this thing called LARP." And I was like, "Okay, I've really only heard of LARP through social media." And the first thing that popped into my head was the classic like video of the guy chasing after the ogre, like shouting "lightning bolt" and being like, "Lightning bolt, lightning bolt." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And they were like, you should come along. And I was
You're
like,
gold.
okay, all right. I was like, you know what? I'll do it. Let's give it a go. I was like, is it all right if I come along? They were like, yeah, let's do it. So I joined the league. I was part of the Crimson Reaper cartel for my first character back in the day. Yeah, they were a bit smaller back then compared to what they are now. Yeah, I got into Empire pretty much through that. And the first event I went to, I was like, oh, it's okay. You know, I was like, it's all right. It was a pretty pants weather, unfortunately. And then I went to E3 for my first event, and then I went to E4, which was mildly good weather actually. This was like 2016. And then I proceeded to, for 6 months, fixate on this thing that I had done. And I was like, I've got to go back. I was like, when's the next event? Oh, God, come on. Like, please. And yeah, I just got hooked, really. That's how I got into it. And I've never looked back. Haven't missed an event since.
Yeah, nice. So, oh, I was going to ask you something. I can't remember what I was.
I'll take over, Mark.
Well, Matt, go. You go.
So,
we go.
you mentioned obviously a brief stint in the league.
Yes.
I say brief. I don't know how brief. It
Wow,
was.
yeah.
Obviously, you've now found a home in the Marches, and that's why
my
you're here.
true home.
Your homey home. So I don't know, Mark. Maybe it'd be cool if you talk. Well, obviously, Stu, if you talk about Finn and Smudd.
Oh, okay.
In
Well,
all his fame.
this will differ depending on who you talk to. I'll be brutally honest. So yeah, just quickly, yeah, I was in the league for 2.5 years, which blows my mind actually thinking about it. But yeah, Finn and Smudd, Oily Jack, or whatever you want to call him. I've been called a lot worse within the last 2 events due to things I've got up to. So I guess Finn basically is he's not the smartest chip off the block. And he never has claimed to be, but he's always outgoing and looking to make people happy, which has resulted sometimes in him getting told off because he tries to make people laugh during very bad situations, typically. But yeah, I don't know really. At the end of the day, like, I'm just a classic marcher. I love having a sing-song and a chat, making people feel good. Yeah, and yeah, that's kind of it. I wear a ton of armor sometimes, which I hate because it's very heavy. I have a halberd and various other things. I am very handsome as well in character. Yeah, out of character. Oh my God, don't look at me.
Theatre of the mind in character.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, it's all LARP, so yeah. If I roleplay being handsome, that's how it works, right?
Yeah, no one could disagree.
Yeah,
if that's what your character is, that's what your character is.
That's totally it. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, the whole concept of Finn basically come along. We had done our stint in the league, and me and my friend Dan, basically we worked together at the time, and another friend of ours who was in the league called Tash. We'd been talking about the marches for ages, because we had great interactions with them in the past. And they always look so fun as well. Like, it just looks so fun being like shouty person, but at the same time quite chill. And we basically, my character died. I got taken out by a giant crab. On the, as you do during a battle, my LARP character, my lead character. And we were like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's move. So Tash and Dan retired their characters, and we decided to join the marchers. And yeah, that's pretty much how it worked out.
And here you are.
What's your marcher house? Is it house?
Officially, Finn is part of the Smuddy Russets, but we're also in a group called the Folk of the Hardy Oak, which is soon to be renamed to the Folk of the Hardy Birch. But certain people might disagree with that statement. They are wrong. So yeah, that's the house I'm in. Yeah, we actually came together with a few other smaller houses, and basically made just a larger kind of like house. Or like group,
I was gonna say, is that some kind of marching mechanic where you're part of two?
So it's
things.
It's kind of like a union, I guess you could say. I mean, the most common like march, the most well-known like group, I would say, is the Unbound Union, which a lot of people might have heard of, with Guildenstern and Amber Lane. And that consists, as far as I'm aware, of a lot of other houses. And we saw that that was working, and we were like, you know what? And we saw that everyone was having so much fun. We were like, instead of having all of our separate houses, so for example, like the Smuddy Russets and the Dunholts, which is another close group of ours, we were like, why don't we just all come under one like banner sort of thing, one house? So yeah, we still have like our independent sort of thing. So I still support the old the Reeve rune, which you'll see on my chest, which I've currently got right now on the picture. But yeah, we also do have a Folk of the Hardy Oak crest as well. So yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I guess it's a bit like Mark, like what we've got going with Birchen Hall, and then we've got Haddie's Hall that was swallowed up.
Yeah,
so-
that's
and
yeah,
became
that's
part of
it.
Birchen
Yeah,
Hall. So it's
That's-
still is a slight element there, but it's
Yeah.
mainly the big
canonically, and it's
yeah. In the
fine.
past, we started off as a small house, and we've come together to kind of get stronger and make the marches stronger. And also it does make certain like tasks quite useful as well. So yeah.
So that's saying from Planet of the Apes, is it like when he's talking about many apes are strong or something like that? So
Apes
similar.
together strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marches together strong.
Oh yeah. Don't get in the way of a group of marchers. So,
Well, no,
yeah.
we found that out at the when Matilda Fisher visited.
Oh,
in
what
the
a great
town.
time
Yeah.
that was! God,
That
that
was
could
good.
be a whole podcast on its own. Jeez.
Yeah, that was an
you-
experience.
tell you about how
Marches
I-
and their drums. Yeah.
Tell you about how I cursed my brother. So, oh.
That was
I was-
that was enjoyable for us, Matt, because that the picture that came out of that ended up being one of the ones they used for one of the wins, I think, last time, wasn't it? Last
Yeah,
event.
we're basically famous now, aren't we? So
Yes, as well.
You were in a great spot because literally just up from you out of that picture, I don't know if that picture was taken after Timothy Crown jumped over the barrier with a few other marchers.
this was
Maybe
before,
just,
I think.
it
we
was
were sort of
moments.
taking
Yeah.
It's very much a
meeting.
moments before disaster picture.
Yeah.
That one, I think.
the calm
Yeah, there
before the
was-
storm.
It was like Timothy and Bree, like like ice hockey players when they're like changing over. It was like that. Yeah, it was that was amazing bit of RP. Actually amazing.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a cool one.
So yeah.
So do we want to give everyone a bit of a generic Marcher background now? For anyone that is thinking of
Can we first talk about how the Marchers became a nation? Because I think this is really interesting.
Well, yeah, I guess that's
You want to get into the
part of it, yeah.
Cousins' War?
Mm.
Okay. All right.
Sorry if it's
So-
a lengthy topic, but I
No,
think it's
no,
quite a
no.
cool way a nation was born.
Well, shall I do the kind of quick version which most people know, and then we can go through like the more down to earth one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm nowhere near like a fountain of knowledge for the marches. Let's just say that right now.
There will be absolutely zero corrections from us, I can assure you.
Matt is like on the wiki, like, no, actually that's wrong. It's the, not they. Oh no. So the long and the short of it is basically the marches formed when a bunch of yo folk essentially just had enough of being oppressed by Dawn. Yeah, I said oppressed. Again, feel free to fact check me. And we decided to go and take some land of our own and start anew. So, like any sensible person would, we went and invited ourselves onto some soil. Oh, Dawn is slander in the chat. You goddamn right. There's going to be a lot of that today. Yeah. We basically went and took our land and made it ours. And the marchers lived very happily until the Empire turned up and went, hey, you are going to join us. We'll give you a choice. You can either join us or there's going to be trouble. And at this point, the marchers, being the rather interesting folk that we are, decided to going to fight each other essentially to find out what would happen, and that's what's more commonly known as the Cousins War. One side wanted to basically become or stay independent because obviously, you know, marchers, why not? And then the other side was like, you know what, we don't want any more trouble. We should join the Empire and make ourselves stronger by helping out. So yeah, and if history serves me correct, which it does, the side that wanted to join the Empire won out, which behind the scenes, the Smudds were on the other side. So yeah,
Don't tell anyone.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's all. This is out of character, right? 'Cause
Yeah. This isn't canon, yeah.
yeah, hold on.
Smud's strung up next event for being a
got
traitor
militia
to the
member
Empire.
outside my door. What the hell? It's the militia. No. So yeah, that's how the marches came to be, and yeah, we pride ourselves on a lot of things. I think the most common thing the marchers pride themselves on is the fact that we provide the bread basket, which is basically a large amount of resources and food for certain individuals. But more than that, I would actually say is that we do pride ourselves on our land. So out of everything with marchers, typically land comes first. It's ours.
Would
So-
you
Yeah.
would you say land matters above all else? Is that something you would possibly say?
Matt,
well, yeah.
That I love that line. You should send that
Yeah.
into PD because that sounds like they could use that.
It ought to go on the wiki.
It-
Wait a second. Are you reading off the wiki? No. So no. In all fairness, yeah, land is very important to marchers. Hence why the whole situation with, I don't know how aware everyone is now, but there's a situation that's been going on for a while where Brega's land, which is one of the 4 marcher territories, has currently been a contested territory for quite some time now because the
Jotun, yeah. that's
yeah, the Jotun and a bunch of dirty Yagara, who are basically not cool marchers, have basically they invaded with the help of this Matilda Fisher we talked about earlier.
Boo.
Yeah, boo Matilda Fisher. Yeah, basically have been messing us up, but we're kind of on the we're on the offensive at this point. You know, we've all kind of banded together, and I mean, I won't get into it, but Brega's land should be Imperial territory right now, but it isn't due to certain decisions. But yeah.
Blame the generals.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. But you know what I say? It creates game. And last event, I was like thinking it was going to be quite a quieter event. And as soon as I found out that we weren't going to Brega's land, I was like, oh no, we're going to have to go shouting at people, and we're going to have to throw turnips and stuff. Oh,
And boy, did
no.
they.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Some people shouted a bit too much. They were very silly marchers, but yeah.
So I'm right from memory. The marchers went and petitioned at the military council, right?
They did. So, well, a group of marchers went and petitioned at the military council, and that led to those particular marchers basically getting some very hefty fines, as well as I believe they got freezing brands of Irenaeus, if I remember that correctly. So, yeah, which we all shouted at while it was happening, and we're yeah. But yeah, that was.
Rabble.
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah. It's like, oh wait, someone's doing something we don't like. Let's go shout at them. So, we, as a nation, we have been trying to, I feel, cut down on our amount of shouting, also known as rough music, which is one of the things the marchers do. Because I feel that it's happening so much, and I think a lot of people feel it's happening so much. We've had to. It's kind of losing its meaning. It's kind
Losing
of like,
its
oh.
charm.
Yeah, here come the marchers again. Oh no, they're gonna shout. Whereas what we want is we want the whole of the nation. We want like something serious, like, oh, okay, like 5 marchers have been executed in the street for no reason. Okay, that's a good reason of rough music, you know. Not
Yeah.
someone stole my hat.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Which, in all fairness, if someone
Whoa.
stole my hat, I would go after them. So
What sort
yeah.
of hat are we talking about? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, I mean, if you steal any marcher's hat, that is essentially like a slap in the face. So yeah.
Treason.
Without sounding like I'm reading the wiki, but this
Yeah.
is something I actually have not experienced, but as in I know's a thing, which I think is
Yeah.
quite fun for
Yeah.
a marcher character, and that's the grudges, right? The rivalries and the grudges.
Oh, Yes, yeah. So we as marchers, typically we like to infight a lot. It's the classic case, I feel, from the few years I've been playing the marchers. Like, we will typically kind of go at each other quite a bit, which is good. But it's a case of, like, as soon as another nation or someone else jumps in, we all kind of band together to go against that person. It's the classic case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, sort of thing.
Mm.
But yeah, there's a lot of grudges in the marches. We do tend to settle them quite efficiently, I would say. I mean, one of the ways we settle grudges is typically a game of foot the ball. Have you ever heard of foot the ball?
I've heard of football.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, many a traumatic wound and injury has come from foot the ball. But it's foot the ball is basically a game of, like, I guess it's like rugby. But yeah, involving typically chair legs and baskets and various other things.
Okay.
But that's yeah.
I was just sorry to cut, but like
No,
I feel
crack
like
on.
the grudges and the rivalries is just a real fun element for players to add. I guess give them some sort of icy stuff. Like we've had some friends that have now become marchers.
Yeah.
Bridges who've like they've
Oh,
almost
amazing.
tied into some rivalries already, and it's going to give them something to do at their sort of first official event.
Yeah, well, that's
that.
it, and that's really good. That's really good because it then gives you objectives to try and gauge. Go for it. It's like, okay, you know what, I really don't get on well with this group. For example, I don't get on well with the Smuddy Russets because they said our cider was bad or something like that. It's like, okay, well, you know what, let's go throw a cheese at them, or if you wanted to get extreme, let's say someone insulted your house like quite badly, then potentially a curse or something like that, or so a very wise person once said that conflict creates game, and I'm a very strong believer in that. I feel that giving people kind of objectives and grudges, it's like, because if everyone was happy all the time, it'd be like, oh, okay, this kind of, that's all right, we're just going to sit down and have tea. But it's nice when it's like, oh, let's sit down and have tea and plot how we're going to mess up the Smudds. Let's do that. Yeah.
Mark, do you know what this reminds me of? Is that second breakfast you went to, and like you explaining it to me that like you had different sort of houses of hobbits or hobbit-like people, and it was just all about shenanigans and
it was causing mischief
on the other groups, and it's kind of reminded me of that. Like as a marcher, you just went, "Oh, let's just go wind up so and so's because we've got a grudge with them," and you're like,
it's basically shithousery, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that the easiest way is, for example, so there are 4 different parts of the marches. You've got Upwold, which is referred to as Bestwold. A lot of people might disagree with that. You've got Mitwold, you've got Mornwold, and you have Bregersland, which I've already kind of followed. And instantly, like, going from one part of the marches to another could be a good reason to have a grudge, for example. I mean, it's literally written into Finn's backstory that he doesn't get on well with people from Mitwold because Mitwold is very prosperous in regards to, like, financial and stuff like that. Whereas Upwold is considered to, even though it's not kind of the capital of the marches, I believe Mitwold is, it's considered to be like birthplace of the marches as such. So it's much more like farmland and stuff like that. So yeah, instantly, like, if Finn like interacts with someone from Mitwold, he'll be like, oh, okay, here we go, trying to be Dawn, basically. Again, not Dawn bashing. Dawn.
Sorry, Dawn.
Someone said in your chat, someone said in your chat already, Dawn and the Marchers are actually real chill at the moment. Like, we're really down to earth, like, to the point where we actually went to the Glory Square and, like, went to battle with them at the last event. Like, so, yeah, hats off to Dawn, 10 out of 10.
But also, to be fair, you recently stole somebody from Dawn in the Glory Square.
Don't know what you're talking about, mate.
Wasn't that the reason why you were in the Glory Square?
Nah, don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
Mr. Hugh Farrier.
Yeah. Really don't know what you're talking about. That's so weird.
Yeah, strange. It's weird because someone's doctored some photos as well of it happening. Very strange.
Have they?
Yeah. I have seen photos of the, let's call it a kickoff.
Yeah.
So I'm really sorry, but Hugh was a marcher at heart. I don't care what Hugh says. I'm sure Harry doesn't mind talking about him, but Hugh was a marcher at heart. He spent more time with us, so therefore we were like, you know what, let's go get him. We were like, let's go get him.
I think you could argue with Hugh Farrier that when he finally left for the marches, I was there. He ripped off his Dornish clothing, and underneath it was his marcher attire. And
Superman.
The question could be: is how long has he been wearing that marcher attire?
Yeah,
Has the whole time has it been under there?
And what nation clothing is underneath that?
Exactly.
But was it the marcher pants though? Because there's probably not much left underneath.
I was going to say, if you talk to any marcher, there's not much under the hose aside from just bare knee. So yeah, the most dangerous and glorious thing you'll ever see is a marcher's knee.
Oh.
So, yeah, if you ever see a bit of march, oh my goodness, old Bob at Thatcher's knees. Jeez, I've got to get some drawings of that.
Don't tell her, is it?
Yeah. Wait, what? What was I going to say? Yeah, just quickly in regards to Hugh Farrier, I've really only ever known him when he was in Dawn, and every time I saw him, I'd be like, honorary marcher, good to see you, and he'd be like, sure.
Blowing his cover.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you're letting on what I am. I truly am. So, yeah. Who doesn't want to march to the marches? That's what I say.
But I think he is. I think he's done a couple of events now, hasn't he? As a marcher, he seems to be enjoying himself.
I can't remember if it was the last event or the event before.
E1 was when he marched, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was when I wasn't.
Now a new house, who conveniently have nearly the same colours as the folk of the Hardy Oak. So, perfect example of a grudge. We were shouting at them every time we walked past. We'd be like, fake folk, you're not real folk. And after a few pints, we actually settled things and found out we were quite chill. So, yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I to be honest, even when you guys were kicking off about Matilda Fisher, everyone was still pretty jovial about it.
Yeah.
And I think that seems to be a thing for the marchers. Every marcher I know is generally pretty happy. I don't know whether that's IC or it just happens to be OC.
No. That's a so yeah. You'll talk to most marchers, and we're very like I would like to say friendly people. There are some marchers that are very like whoa, what are you doing? But not many. But the thing is that if you do get on the wrong side of like a marcher, traditionally you will know about it, and then you'll usually have to deal with the 20 other marchers that suddenly turn up and have to deal with it. So yeah, yeah. No, I think so. This kind of brings me on to why I previously you asked why I joined. I think you asked why I joined the marches.
Tell us.
And so yeah, basically. I actually was in Wintermark for one event, and
really,
I was in Wintermark for one event, and then I changed. No. So
I too many.
After 2.5 years of playing a character, when I died, it was like, oh, what do I do now? And I had a few mates who were in Wintermark, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it. I'm going to go for just an event on my own and do Wintermark, and it was okay. It wasn't the best event. It was weird getting into a new character and having to do like, oh, hello there, I'm so and so. Oh, I do this, which is a challenge for any new LARPer in general. But while I was eating food one day, I was sat next to this guy called who's called Marcus. In game, he was Tomothy Crow, the bravest marcher. I stand by that. Who went after Fisher, but we were chatting and. He usually sings loads of sea shanties on the Thursday. If you've been to the Forge on a Thursday, Anyway, so I kind of knew him through singing sea shanties because I love that. And he was like, "Oh, you know what you?" I was like, "Oh, you know, I'm struggling a bit. I'm not sure what to do." And he was like, "You know what? Join the marchers." He said, "If you're not sure of something, or like you just want to have a bit of fun, or if you're a bit nervous, then you join us. You can talk to anyone, and we'll help you out." And I think that was kind of like, I was like, you know what? I've been talking about it. Let's go. I've seen the marchers so many times. They always look like they're having a good laugh. I was like, let's do it. Let's go. yeah, I never look back. And honestly, like I said, the marches I've had ups and downs, all IC obviously. But it's I've got so much game out of it and made so many good friends, like through being in the marches. Yeah, I would say honestly, lifelong friends just from the 2.5 years I've been there. Or actually, no, it's 2.5 years. So yeah.
Real random one.
Oh, I love random
So
questions.
yeah, so you jumped in the Wintermark for like a smidgen. What
did.
year was that? Because do you reckon, Mark? Do you reckon we were about? Could we have crossed ships in the night?
We would have
Could
been
we have crossed
about
paths?
if Stuart joined in 2016
Yeah.
and you were a leaguer for 2.5 years. We're looking at 2019-ish.
We would have been
Yeah.
in the
I-
same field as each other. We would have just been so close.
It might actually have just been before. I think it was E4 of 20. I might have been off with 2.5 years. It
Was this
20
before we went to the new field?
2018 was E4 2018 was when I was in that, because then I spent 1 year in the marches, and then obviously the infamous thing happened that meant we couldn't play. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Our first event was 2018 E4, right? Or was it E4 2017?
Yeah.
There we go.
Right.
So we would have just
been in a
moved.
fight on the field with the heralds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have just moved into the forest, I believe, into Wintermark Woods.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
why we probably might not have bumped into it. Oh,
Yeah.
crazy. What a small world.
What a small
Technically.
empire this is.
What a small 2,000 person event at the time.
Yeah, God, back in the day when it was 2,000. Now what is it up to, like 3,500?
It was
Yeah.
probably smaller than 2,000, maybe. Oh, maybe not. But yeah, it's about getting on 3,000 now, surely.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's crazy. Oh, that makes me feel so old. Oof. Not
Yeah,
as long as
same.
some of the people I know. Some of the people I know have been going since E1, the very first at the old site. So
Yeah, who was
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Who was it we had on that was an E1 year one?
Oh, yeah. Was that one of the
Was it
Navarre?
No, wasn't it Sam?
Nah. I don't know. That rings a bell, though.
Little challenge for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone watching. Go back through our videos and watch all of the.
I've just seen someone in your chat just go, the great toilet paper shortage. Yes, that actually for some reason sticks out, because I vowed from that event to always bring toilet paper.
Right, I not that I got anything about Empire toilet paper. I don't use Empire toilet paper. I always bring my own.
I use premium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not that second-hand toilet paper.
Yeah, I use triple quilted.
Second-hand toilet paper. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I mean, you'll find plenty of it about the toilet. Anyway, I tell you what, Stu. How did you find your one event at Wintermark?
So I found it okay. This was blessed back when Wintermark was a very large nation. So trying to like fit in was quite a challenge. And like I said, it was a case of like, I wanted to give it a try. I think everyone should give a nation a try, because you'll find like your niche. I was lucky enough that I think I found my go-to home in the marches right away. Or like, well, third time's the charm. I was in the league for 2 and a bit years, really. Yeah, basically, I had a good time, but there was a lot going on. There was a lot going on in Wintermark. It's a busy nation, I tell you that much. Like, there's a lot of stuff. There's all the, like, you get your names and your stories and so on. And like, I think that was my objective for that event, was to try and get. It was a long shot, but I was trying to get a name on my first event in Wintermark. So yeah, which I'm sure some people, are still struggling to get now. So
yeah, well, it's very much colloquially known as Wintermark the LARP, isn't it? Because you could have a completely separate system that is just Wintermark.
Well, I think me and Mark were talking maybe a couple of streams ago, episodes ago, but we were talking like how, like, for such a long time we rarely left Wintermark for a whole event.
I can see why.
And we'd only leave.
Yeah.
Like you think about it now, like with Wintermark, like one of the main reasons I leave Wintermark is to go to God, which is the opposite side of the field.
Yeah.
To go for food, which is the opposite side of the field. If there was food and God in the Wintermark tent, like camp.
No, let's not do that, because it's very convenient for the marchers to get to both those things.
It's extremely. Wintermark's literally the opposite end of the field. Anyway, like
you get your own God.
Yeah, a second God would be good.
if I specifically like go tell like which we do now, if I like we make a point of going, let's go to this nation and we'll go out and do it. Like
Yes.
otherwise, like it's quite easy to, and like you'll probably find another nations like Navarre now, which is bigger than Wintermark. You're probably getting those nations where like all of a sudden like it's getting quite a bit self-contained.
Yeah, I mean the marches to a certain extent is quite self-contained, but we've whereas Wintermark is more of like a circle and like a big meeting area. The marches basically is just a street essentially that goes from the very top of it's bordering the out of character camping.
Do you know what I always think of when
yeah.
I walk down the Marches Street? I just think of what I assume is Mardi Gras.
Yeah, I can see why. Yeah,
it's just party central of the Empire.
We've always got stuff going on. I mean, last event was the Stewards Games, and then this event there's going to be more stuff. We've got Brock's Toll with Dawn, which is going to be amazingly fun. I love Brock's Toll. But yeah, we've always got stuff going on. But yeah, I think what you said, Matt, if I could say anything to you past me, would be go to other nations. Go around, have a walk around, because you can find some great game just in other parts of the field. Like I remember for one event when I was back with my lead character, I spent most of my game in the VAR because we were trying to sort something out. We were trying to sort out some cursing or something. And I was like, oh, it's really nice to be in the trees. It was just nice to see new people in different environments. So yeah.
I think you could get like I think a fair point to say is like, yes, you're a marcher or we're Wintermark, but we're also Imperials. So for example, I'll say now, I'm trying to do stuff in Wintermark and it's very tough because Wintermark is a busy nation. There's lots of people trying to do stuff. However, there's nothing stopping me going to Urizen or going to Dawn and be like, hey, I'm here to get stuff done.
That's it. Yeah,
I could do it. Yeah, and then I guess that's the game. You go to other nations. I could bump into Smudd next event and go, you need any help, mate? And you could be like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get this done actually.
Well,
just because I'm not a marcher doesn't mean I can't go help a marcher.
Well, that's why. I mean, a great example is what happened last event with the whole cat thing, wasn't it? I mean, instead of looking in the marchers, I was like, you know what? I know Birchen Hall's got some magic people. Okay, I was like, let's go there. Some religious folks in the way. I was like, let's go there because then it gives me an excuse to leave, maybe bump into some people I know, as well as cause some mischief on the way. So a good example. One thing the marchers do is at E4 we have Wassail, which is basically like a celebration of like the harvest and stuff like that. And what we do is we go to each nation and we spread the like excess that we have in regards to like food and stuff. So we'll like give out sausage rolls and cider and stuff like that. And we go to each nation. And there's a few people. There's these two fantastic people called Daisy and Katie who are in the marches, and they basically, along with a few other people, they write songs for each like nation appropriate sort of stuff, and we'll sing that, and we'll either do a dance or we'll sing and stuff. And the newer players are like, oh wow, this is what Urizen looks like, or oh wait, we're in the Brass Coast, oh this is Wintermark and so on. Oh, this is the Imperial Orcs and we haven't got a weapon, So yeah.
That has actually been relaxed now.
Oh, has it?
It has.
Yeah, I think they're a bit more chill.
Oh, cool.
Basically, you're not going to get iced if you go in weaponless.
Nice. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, we had we had Robbie on a couple of weeks back telling us about it.
Perfect. Oh, that's brilliant stuff. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So yeah, my kind of thoughts on that is go out, go and explore, go see the other nations and the marchers.
but it's great that your nation are making that effort to go out. Like, well, I mean, yeah. For example, like I know, is it Varushka do a similar sort of? Do Varushka do sort of a marching?
They do. Yeah, they do like a big parade, don't they?
Yeah, so they'll go nation to nation school. Is League do sort of a? Was it Who did the Day of the Dead or whatever it's called?
Oh, you're
When-
not talking about the Reaper Festival, are you?
Yeah, but I thought they walked around the site. If it's the
Oh,
Reaper Fest, it could be the Reaper Festival.
I think
but,
it's High
but
Guard.
again, it might be High Guard. It's
Yeah.
just cool that these nations are actively
Oh no,
going
is it
out
the
visiting the rest of the field.
is
Oh,
it the
no, there we
league
go,
the
we
league
got,
one with the where you have to
High
cover your face?
Guard's, High Guard's on it with the Day of the Dead. Yeah,
Yeah,
the league is the Reaper Festival, where if you're a leaguer and you don't wear a mask, the Reaper will potentially curse you.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking of maybe the Day of the Dead because I feel like they walked around the Anvil site like in a bit of a parade with torches and stuff, as if maybe like a remembering the dead thing. I don't know. So yeah, but it's cool that certain nations are actively going out and visiting the rest of the camp.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like go out and explore. I think that's the biggest thing. The one thing that I try and encourage most players to do if they're brand new to Empire is to go out. Don't stay in their tents. Yeah, like I know I did that on my first event and I regret it. Like go out and explore, get into some trouble or make some friends.
I think a good way this is sort of situation of down to me, but like going out try and like see different bars in different nations. Each nation is going to have a bar, so if you're that way inclined, like go check out the bars.
There is nothing better than a pub crawl.
If you're a trader, for example, every nation is probably going to have a trading group or multiple groups. Go check them out, and it gives you an excuse. Or tea houses, for example, tea houses that everyone seems to have a tea house.
Yeah, the Brass Coast last event had the tea house with the iced teas.
Ooh,
actually saved my life. Seriously, I was like,
nice.
wait, you have ice in this weather? I'll take 3, please. I beg you.
Especially last event, which I mean, dare I risk it and say we're looking at a hot one? Are we looking at a hot one this coming?
Possibly, I don't know.
Bristol's looking pretty hot coming forward, so
it usually is
might
pretty bad for July.
Gonna get my summer weather gear out.
Yeah,
and some hose.
Which will always makes for a fun one. Anvil weather is always a fun one. We mention it on every stream. So do you know? This is really off topic.
Well, before we go off topic, on the subject of drinks and stuff, can we take 5?
Yes,
and we'll come back to that.
I would like 6, please.
You can have 6.
Oh yes.
You can have up to 10.
Let's have a 6-minute drink break, and we'll be back.
Okay, maybe even 7.
Oh
no, it's now 6. It's just changed.
Oh no!
Oh jeez.
We're back. It was slightly longer than 6 minutes, and it was totally my bad. Apologies.
A certain person lied.
It's all Mark's fault.
On the plus side, if you're watching this on YouTube, it would have passed like that, and you won't even have to be worried about it.
YouTube, you have no idea how long everyone else has had to wait.
This one was actually
64 years.
This one was 4 hours.
Yeah,
and now we're back.
It's been so long, I've completely forgotten what I was going to jump. Although I think I know what I was talking about, which me and Stu have just covered.
While you guys weren't here, we've covered it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Let's go over it again.
A random thing where I was just like, "Hey Stu, did I meet Finn at Mitwold, which was a player event?"
Yes, it was.
There we go.
Yeah.
So we just had a long chat about it, but I was just trying to think when we first met, and I think it was that, and
it was the Who's a Haddy game, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you got pulled into that tent, didn't you? While there was like some conspiracy or something going on, and meanwhile we're outside playing this drinking game, and all we can see is these shadows in the tent and the occasional shouting. So
I don't know how much I can talk about it, but there was a lot of heresy going on, and I got called to witness something, and I was extremely underqualified for the situation.
You looked the part, so that was the problem.
Yeah, it was it was nice to feel wanted, but I had no idea what I was doing the whole time. Who's a haddy? Who exactly?
Yeah, who's a haddy? Yeah. Me? You? Who? Me?
Them?
You?
I'll say it now. That game is absolutely under appreciated. Like we don't play it enough for such a random game that was birthed. It's just not played enough.
Yeah.
Like it's so much fun when it is played.
Bring it back.
Hmm.
Hashtag
Yeah,
bring
I
back
know.
Choose a
I
Habit.
don't know why we don't play it more. to be
I mean,
honest, 'cause
everyone's
Oh, no, the
familiar with
chat's
it in the
kicking
chat.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Oh no.
It's
Me?
obviously
You? Who?
it's obviously gained traction in the time that
Yeah.
we've last played it, which is a
I
long
think
It was
time ago.
fun.
I think Finn tried to teach it to some of his Marcher friends once, and it didn't go very well.
Oh no.
That's because
I
there
prob-
are no rules.
I probably
just-
butchered your game.
I know. It's
It's good that it's
yeah.
getting out there.
But that was at Birchin Hall player event / Birchin Hall went away camping once and dressed up icy. And it was at that game was brought around. Yeah, that was good fun. Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
we should play it more. Like next event, there we go.
Apparently, your mistake, Stuart, was trying to teach people that were already wasted.
Yeah, that's always my
I mean,
mistake.
That's how we learn. So
That's
if we
true.
can do
Yeah.
it.
We'll teach next time we're sat around the fire, Stu. We'll teach you Pit,
Oh, good.
is,
Nice.
a game Matt keeps saying he's going to teach us, and then we never get around to it.
Oh, I can't wait to not be taught that game. I can't wait.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is I've got a stag do coming up this weekend, and I've been asked to bring Pit. And do you know what? I'm still upset by it all.
He's fuming. He's fuming because
No.
basically no one would listen to him about how it was played.
There's
Which is
a really
fair
fun
enough.
game. There's a really fun game called Pit, and I said I think everyone would enjoy it, and everyone was just playing silly buggers. And then I vowed to never play Pit again with the Birchin Hall lot.
Hey, silly
And now
games,
they've asked me to play it, and it's
silly games are the best. I mean, silly games is the reason
Thank
that we
you.
got into
Thank
quite
you.
a bit of trouble in
Yes, they
certain
are.
nations playing certain games that were hallowed, which we probably shouldn't have hallowed. So yeah.
Uh-oh.
But there was, I'll quickly cover this quickly because I don't want to diverge too much. But there was a game called the Game of Games or Animal Snap or Famish Snap, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, we got it hallowed, but the group that did it over hallowed it, and you were driven to defeat your enemy or your opponent at any cost. And the problem is that we hallowed it and. It had a range, it had a radius effect. So it caused a lot of fights while playing it. So we then proceeded to downsize it slightly. So it was whoever was touching the deck of cards. So yeah.
Animal Snap.
Animal Snap, yeah. Fat Mouse. Yeah. You got that.
Fat Mouse in the chat.
Oh
yeah.
no, your chat's been invaded by marches. I can see them all now. This is what happens. This is what happens now.
They're banging their drum in the chat.
Yeah, they're
They're
banging
making a
their pots
ruckus.
and pans. Oh no.
That's fine. That's fine. They're more than welcome. A marcher, a marcher.
Yeah, Marcher. What makes the barley grow?
I've heard that summons them.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
They pop out of the ground like
yeah.
wheat stalks.
Out of grow bags.
There we go. I told you. Look, this is
Hey.
kicking off. What? Did you have any more questions about the marchers, by the way?
Yeah. Well, we probably ought to talk about marches.
Yeah, I guess.
So, do you know what? Oh yeah. So the last little big things about the marches, according to the Wikipedia.
Oh,
So, which again, I think me and Stu's already spoken about this, Mark, when you were off fixing the TV.
you weren't here.
Yeah. So we were saying, obviously, they choose their leaders. Marches are led, not ruled, and then that kind of goes on to the farm things. Stu, if you want to talk about.
Yes. So traditionally, voting is done with farms in the marches because obviously
Mhm.
we're an agricultural people. There is talk about trying to get mines turned into votes as well, but that's a very spicy topic. But yeah, so but Finn's view is that it should be farms only. Although I'm pretty sure I signed a petition saying that it should be mines as well when I was very drunk. So yeah, but yeah, most voting is done by farms, so that can be a variety of things. But yeah. I know, obviously, you've covered already with other people that other nations vote with other things. But yeah, with the marchers, traditionally, it's farms. So yeah.
Do you find like a lot of the nation have farms as a resource then for that purpose, or do you still find sort of an equal balance of sort of military units or
Do you know what?
mines?
That's a great question actually. So yeah, there's actually a really good balance, and there's a lot of resources. A lot of people have resources that you wouldn't expect. For example, I'm pretty sure the Marchers have quite a decent fleet.
Mhm.
Like we have a lot of sailing Marchers apparently, like sailing around Breggers Land with all their eels. But
Eels.
yeah, yeah. Just make sure if you're using an eel, you have a license. Otherwise, we will come for you if you don't have an eel license.
But yeah,
Uh,
you'll get stopped on the anvil field. Produce your real
yeah,
license.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of problems with poaching at the moment in regards to eels, so we're trying to sort that out. But
So
yeah. Oh no, go on.
I was going to sorry. I was touching on Marcher fleets. There was like
Yeah.
a special event like a couple of events ago where it was I think launching fleets from Wintermark and Bregersland to I don't know ferry troops over. It was like a special event, but I'm pretty sure the Wintermark and the Marchers were the only imperial nations that could do the action without debuffs. So
Oh,
obviously it
okay.
goes to show, yeah, that obviously there's a larger fleet. There is a Marcher fleet presence.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
yeah, yeah. So there's a really good Marcher fleet presence. There's a lot of miners. Again, it depends really where you're from traditionally in regards to like the Marchers. So you'll find more than often a lot of miners come from Mornwald. A lot of farmers will come from Upwald. A lot of businesses traditionally come from Mitwald. And then Breggers Land, I'll be honest, is usually a mixture of everything. Although feel free to correct me, chat. Yeah, Upworld, Best World, yes. So yeah, but yeah, there's a wide variety. There is a big kind of influence into the military game at the moment. A lot of people are going building military units because we obviously need to try and take back Breggers Land, which is happening slowly. It is happening. But yeah, so you'll find a lot of people, I think, make the mistake of thinking that Marchers is just farms, but you'll find that there's actually quite a diverse like selection of stuff.
would you say that the military focus is probably kind of situational because Bregerland's in a position it is? Like I've noticed it with Wintermark, we've had a big calling for military units over the last year or so, but I guess that's to achieve sort of some Wintermarky
Yeah, outcome. Yeah,
outcome, you know.
yeah. I definitely. There's been a big call to like bolster military units, especially in Breggers Land. I mean, we said at the very start of the podcast that Marcher Land is sacred almost, and the fact that Breggers Land for a very short period of time was actually, I believe, not considered imperial territory. It was contested. I know it's always been contested because if I remember correctly, the strong reeds have currently been in there doing like ambushing and laying low tactics and stuff like that, as well as there's a lot of Marcher houses still in Breggers Land, which are currently like still holding out. But yeah, there's been a big cooling, but yeah, and luckily thanks to like other nations as well, like we've managed to push quite a bit because it does really show that all these nations come together. Yes, we would love to say we could do it on our own, but a little help wouldn't go amiss. Although no marcher would admit that they need help, probably. But yeah.
Before we move on, Matt, I can see that you're about to maybe subject change. We talked about what the marchers are. What aren't the marchers?
Oh, that's a good question. What aren't the marchers?
And I'm sure there's a correct. I'm sure there's a wiki answer for this.
I mean, a lot of people seem to think because we're like farmers and stuff like that we have like really weird like rituals and stuff like that.
Country
So
bumpkins.
yeah, like it's like, oh yes, they worship the tree people, and oh yeah, and there might be some old marcher traditions that like hold strong in people's hearts, but yeah, I would say we're not like that, I guess you could say. Yeah. I would also say as well that a lot of people do tend to get the marchers I guess, confused because of the kit, and this is kind of something you'll probably ask later. But a lot of people think that the marches is very like War of the Rosy kind of thing, because the kit is very very similar, I guess you could say, to like that 1400s like War of the Rose sort of stuff. I always see the marches personally as like, from Upworld anyway, I see them as like a bit dirty, a bit grubby, but at the end of the day, we'll stick on our rusty chain and get out our hoes and picks and bills, and we'll get the job done. You know, it's the classic angry mob mentality. Don't mess with the peasants because they make your food. So yeah. But yeah, I would say that the march is definitely, we're not like into like weird, like druidic kind of like clashy sort of stuff, and yeah.
I feel like that question's led into the absolute perfect segue. If I didn't want to just quickly bring up something.
I really wanted the perfect segue. It was this podcast.
He's trying to make me have to do more editing than is necessary, and I'm not going to do it. Everyone can just listen to it.
No, actually, Matt, no, do it.
Yeah, and it's such a small point as well, almost not worth mentioning. But I feel like I will mention it because, Stu, you mentioned something earlier about how we were talking about like the farms and stuff, and you were saying there's a big change to look at making mines sort of a voting power.
Yeah.
Even though it's traditionally farms, and Finn and Smudd believes it should be farms, and then this kind of goes back to a point that is a big part of the marches, which that they dislike change for change's sake. And that could lean into that, like why change something for the sake of changing something when and this goes into traditions, right? They're very traditional people.
Yeah. I mean, marchers aren't a huge fan of change, I would say, but there are certain elements, I mean, certain bits that like certain changes I feel quite beneficial, but yeah, we do like our land, we do like our farming, we do like our traditions for sure. Like you mess with a marcher's tradition, like, oh, that's not going to end well. But there are good things. I mean, for example, I'm pretty sure I've got this right. There has been a lot of work by a few individuals about potentially discovering a new archetype of marcher. Which is a big thing. But that's I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure that's something that people are working on. So in some ways, change, in the marches is good. I mean,
I guess so change is good as long as it's, I guess, an important big change.
Right, apparently.
Changing your underwear that are only 2 days old is change for change's sake, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
But if you tore them open, for example, then change is fine.
So do we know any more?
Put it into marcher.
Do we know any more than the name? Is there any? Have they discovered what that archetype would be?
I think someone's already posted it. It's the Bright Smiths, which is going to be.
I said that the Brightsmith had been mentioned, but like what's the description?
I think, I think off the top of my head, it's going to be something to do with artisans and stuff like that. So but it's something that Finn hasn't really been too following so much. So I'll be honest, Stu hasn't really been following it amazing amount, and there's only I'm pretty sure it's going to be happening very soon. But we will see. That's been the work of a lot of like individual. I'm pretty sure it's a gent called Guildenstern in game. I think it's Matthew, out of character, who's been working his pants off since he started playing Empire to get it done. So I think that's really cool, personally.
Yeah, has that ever happened for any nation? Has a new archetype been made before?
The orcs have had them, but that's down to new orcs joining. So, like, foreign orcs.
The Mormwald orcs. Oh, no, not the Mormwald orcs. Get them out of here. Oh. Sorry, I've got some bias against the Mormwald orcs.
Wow, we could tell. It sounds like some find out in play shenanigans.
I was going to say, sorry.
He's about to whip out his drum.
Yeah.
Where's
my pans? Yeah, where's my tankard? Oh, dear. There
Well,
are
I
obviously
was
a
gonna ask
ton
you
more
about that,
archetypes.
Ethan.
There's a ton of archetypes in the marches already, so adding another one's going to be awesome.
I tell you who needs an archetype: the flipping Navarre, who've only got like 3, haven't they, or 4?
How many? They've got
Or
4.
5?
No, 5. 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got 5.
So few, which is mad. Which, thank you for the answer which I was asking, which is great. And for future, Mark,
Oh.
this perfectly segues into our next.
Well, here's the
thing.
perfect segue. It's coming.
And it was the perfect. So thank you for answering, Stu. That was the perfect segue into the marches look and feel. So we've just touched on what they are not, which are authentic. So sort of a low fantasy nation designed to allow people to use extensive costume resources of the War of the Roses, for example, if I were to quote the Wikipedia. Which is funny though, Stu, because whilst Mark was off on our drinks break, we were talking about how similar like the marches look and feel is to the War of the Roses.
It does have a lot of it does have a lot of look and feel. I won't lie. A lot of marcher kit you'll probably see is kind of very like classic reenactment kits typically. So we're talking like you know your slightly like grubby gambeson. You've got your hose, which are kind of like that are like long stocking sort of things. You've got brays. The coifs as well, which is the padded caps that go. That picture actually, I'm pretty sure someone's wearing a coif. That's a very nice coif actually. But yeah, it's a nice, easy kind of kit to get into. But there are other marcher kits which aren't like that. So there's a few people that have more like cloaks and stuff. I mean, a classic one is kind of like the old monk kind of like robes. So yeah. Which is quite common between like our priest players. So yeah, like our friars and stuff like that, and our monks.
Friars. That's quite. Yeah, I can picture that. So I feel like from looking at photos on the wiki, which I could say your current Finny and Smudd photo on our podcast now.
Yeah. What are you talking about? That's me right now.
So what you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
So it's almost like heraldry attire, like a heraldry. So again, referencing the War of Roses and stuff, like where you've got sort of these cambusons or something on which is like a couple of colours and then a heraldry like.
So here's an interesting just little side story to my kit design. When I joined the marches, the first thing I thought of was everyone must have watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail, right? There's the scene where he's running towards the castle and it goes on for like 5 minutes sort of thing, and it keeps cutting towards these 2 guards who just casually eating an apple and one of them's like staring. And as soon as I was like, I'm going to base my kit off that. I was like, that's perfect. I was like, yeah. But you'll see other marches again, depending on what part of the marches they come from. So I've noticed anyway, you'll see a lot of brigandines, which are quite cool. You'll see a lot of plate, but again, because the marches is not like Dornish, and we're a bit more like down to earth. We're literally down in the earth half the time. You'll notice it's usually a bit grubby or a bit rusty or dirty and stuff like that. The sort of thing that maybe has seen battle and not being shined directly afterwards. So yeah.
Oh well, yeah, absolutely. I feel the colours and it's quite a cool kit. I mean, the Wikipedia does a great job showing like a lot of the styles, and again, I feel like it does have a historic feel, but it looks like the Wikipedia's sort of made a comment about they're not a historic reenactment group, so you might have these historical pulls from historical clothing. However, let's not get caught up on that, right? So
I mean, the kind of mages and the wizards of the marches are quite interesting because they'll typically wear very like there's one mage that pops in. I'm positive the mage is Wat Lambrook, and his kit is real light, but it's like very airy. It's very move aroundable. It's kind of like almost casual, like sort of kit, but at the same time, it's got all the runes drawn on it, and you can tell that it's mage-like. So it's kind of that cross between, yeah, like your medieval reenactment, but at the same time, you can tell there's a fantasy element to it.
I tried to find a picture of Harry for the background.
Oh
but
yeah,
I just couldn't in time. Because
oh,
some
no.
of his kit is really nice. Like when
Yeah,
he's
that's it,
when
yeah.
he's in full garb. Usually when I see him, he's absolutely run ragged and it's just in a like real basic
like down to earth, yeah.
yeah. It's almost like one of those like all in ones with like the bum
That's
flap.
the one thing I love about the Marcher kit. It's so adaptable. Like
Mhm.
so, when it's really cold, we can have literally layers. We can have like 2 or 3 layers on, and when it's really hot, like last event, which I think everyone that went knows it was very hot, and we literally could just have a shirt, a hat, a coif, and like a pair of brays. So yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, right.
Touching on sort of like the look and feel, like you've kind of mentioned it, Stu, already, like with the armor and stuff. So I just thought to talk about the armor and sort of the weapons and blah blah blah.
Yes.
But quoting the Wikipedia because
Mhm.
it's helpful.
No,
It's
the
talking
wiki's going to
about
prove me wrong.
yeah, no. You've pretty much nailed it, to be honest. So it's talking about like gambesons and stuff like that for
Yeah.
like the poorer side of it, and maybe you could argue like well, yeah, okay. So you got that sort of like the poorer side of the marches. You do have plate and stuff
Oh
for like
yeah,
the richer the marchers and stuff like that.
yeah.
And like obviously the households will often wear like these livery coats, which is like kind of what we
Yeah,
spoke about, which
that's a big part of the marches is yeah, making
livery,
sure your
yeah.
colours are on show.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And obviously, I personally think it's like one of the cooler looking nations because I like that sort of stuff.
yeah,
As again, it does give off historical vibes.
yeah,
Fighting wise,
yeah.
from my observations, like you tend to find a lot of bills,
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
so pole arms, and then a lot of bows, and then
yeah.
you can kind of shift that back to War of Roses, like where you got these bill and bows,
Well,
bill
that
and
was
bow
it. Yeah.
blocks, you know, and maybe the marches are currently just smashing it on theme because that's from what I can see. Like
So yeah,
you got
we've
loads of these bill blocks, and a
yeah.
marcher's bill blocks something to fear on a battlefield, and
Yeah, if
the bows
if
you've
it's
got going
coming
on.
towards you, get out the way. If seriously, like, there's enough clank and strike downs behind that wall. Like if you've got a shield, it's not going to help. Unfortunately, once we don't move, the marchers don't move fast, but we move. Okay, we do not stand still. We'll just okay. The objective is over there, and be like, okay, marchers, we're gonna kind of do a little prep work, and then we're gonna literally send you through, and we will just walk directly through. And yeah, so just kind of going on like the military side of things and kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying about the clothing. We as the nation, while I've been in there, I feel that our military kind of game in regards to the big battles is top tier. We've got some fantastic members that have either done either real like riot training sort of stuff or military tactics. Plus, we do have the background in regards to our brief that a lot of our stuff is very utilizing like already proven tactics. So we've got two we've got 2 groups, we've got 2 bill blocks, they're called. We've got the hedgehogs, the fighting hedgehogs, and then we've got the hares as well. So those consist typically of bills. Then we've got the burrows, which consist of the healing unit. So that is the group of healers and like low combat skirmishers, mages occasionally to help heal. And then finally we've got the skirmish block as well, which it basically does the hit and run kind of like if we're getting pushed in one side, they'll quickly tenderize that side so we're not getting pushed in. There's in the works as well. There are other like parts that we're working on. I know that there's a group which is planning on utilizing great swords and 2-handed swords called the butchers, who are planning on
Nice.
being like a shock and awe kind of like run in, hit, then back unit. And we have a great command structure. We have the commander on the field who will relay orders to the bill blocks. The bill blocks will then have their commanders, kind of their leaders. They will then pass information on to what we call the ventinars, which essentially are the ones that shout and relay, just to double say what's happening. And then finally, you will have the foot soldiers and the troops that basically will get into a line. So it will be a case of like, okay, quick, we need a column, we need 2 arrays now facing that direction. And that will happen very quickly. It can occasionally go to pot, like if we're in unfavorable territory. There he is. There's the
There he
amazing.
is.
There's Lamb.
Not to
There he is.
it wasn't to
What?
derail you. I was just sneaking
Yeah,
it in.
no, you've derailed me. The perfect derail. No, we've had the perfect segue and now the perfect derail. But yeah, so yeah, the marcher military tactics, if you see them on the field, usually are top tier. Like I said, we do occasionally get routed. You know, if we're getting kind of collapsed on one side, bless. Like if another nation is struggling, we'll try and like counteract. Or if we're struggling, then that might happen. But that happens with every nation. So
Yeah.
Do you, yeah, again, from my experience, the marchers tend to be pretty solid on the battlefield. I would say my preferred nation to stand next to. Have you ever seen a marcher use a shield on the battlefield, Stu? Finn and Smudd?
Wow. There are some shield users in the skirmish block, but we're not talking big shields. We're talking like bucklers and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe like the side to a door, like occasionally like a small door.
Yeah.
You know, like or a wooden plate. Yeah, typically Marcher's weapons of choice is a bill hook or a pole arm of some kind. And then oh, that was one thing I forgot to say. Yeah, we do have the archer block as well. Sorry, how could I forget?
Archers.
Yeah,
which was mighty impressive.
Yeah, we have a really good like collection of archers. I think that's through some newer houses kind of coming. Archery block was always impressive, but there's been a sudden influx of like archers in the marchers, which rhymes and I hate it. Yeah, marcher archers. And I tell you what, again, real good command structure. If the targets are too far away, the person in charge will be like, no, don't loose. Like, there's no point in wasting ammunition. And then it'll be like, okay, quick, the bills are moving in, archers, quickly run forward, give them a volley, and then get out of the way while the main bill blocks move through. So yeah.
When at E1, I was monstering, and I remember like we were basically told to charge. I don't think it was the Marcher Bill block, but it was a front line of some sort. And I remember we literally we literally like charged in, and with that, like no kidding, 20, 30 arrows were just like loosed over, and like I was okay, but then like orcs all around me just being felled, and it was such a cool thing to be like to witness, like having like. From my experience with archers at Empire, like you tend to have like sort of an archer like pop out, shoot someone, pop back. Yeah. Whereas to have this like, and you know, you could argue like sort of 100 Years War of War of Roses. Like archers, the whole point of an archer was not to like bang someone from behind a tree. It's just mass arrows. Literally a mass of arrows hit an area.
Well, that's why.
You know, and to have that at Empire it's historically accurate for a non-historical setting, but it just makes sense for someone like for me who likes that sort of stuff. I'm just like, this is cool.
Yeah, it's using tactics that have been proven in the past effectively. I mean, it's funny you mentioned about like, you know, like kind of dodging in and out occasionally, depending on what the battle is, because we make sure like the people that are much higher than me in regards to the military game and prepping everything. You know, we got some great people that go to War Council and like the military council and stuff like that, and then when it comes back, they'll be like, okay, this is what's going on, and that will get passed down the line. But if like, for an example, we're fighting in the trees, then typically, which does happen, like we fight in the trees, then it will be a case of, okay, before we even go down to the gate, it'll be, okay, everyone, this is what's going to happen. You're going to make sure that you're like 2 arrays, so that's basically like a pole arms like length apart, and the archers are going to be firing on your left, for example, or your right. It's been a while, I can't remember which it's left or right, but we will have the prep ready, and usually we go on the field and it's a case of, no, someone's gone somewhere else and now we're actually going here, but we can adapt on the fly. I mean, hey, no first plan ever survives like initial contact, does it? So
yeah, that's it. No plan. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, but apart from just going on about how amazing the March's bow block is, it's an impressive sight and it's cool.
they deserve,
and I like it.
They deserve all the respect all the praise that they've got. Seriously, the amount of times that I've seen like a volley fly over my head and you're like, oh, there was like 20 players now. Oh, and now there's only 10. Nice, that's good for me.
It's a cool, for me, it's a cool sight to see, of just seeing like a load of arrows loose and then like loads of orcs hitting the deck because they've been impaled, and then and as an orc, a monster, it was cool to see. Like, I imagine as a sort of a marcher in a bill block, slowly marching towards a front line, and then seeing it just dissipate because of a volley of arrows.
You're so focused on the looming threat of this giant clanky mess of spikes coming towards you. You're not paying attention to the arrows falling from the sky. I mean, someone said in your chat, you've got Hogs Rose Cops, who's pretty much all bows. You've got the Hartels, who are pretty much all bows. So we have some houses in the marches that almost just dedicate themselves to just bows. So which is great,
I've got I was going to ask about. I have a question about mages in the marches.
Oh, okay.
Now go on, Matt.
Get the threshers.
Could this tie in to my question, Mark, which is, we haven't actually crossed the archetypes. So if we quickly skimmed, or maybe I don't know, a couple of minutes on each archetype, would that cover your mage question, Mark?
No.
Okay, cool. Brilliant. You carry on then.
Nice.
I was just going to say, I've heard that the marches, not frown upon, but magic in the marches is uncommon.
Oh no, this is territory I'm not too familiar with.
Okay.
So one thing I've noticed is there is a slight lack of mages or wizards. Traditionally, the marches aren't massive fans, as far as I'm aware, of magic. I mean, hey, we'll use it, but I mean, one of our archetypes is literally designed around getting sorcerers and making them hurt. So I mean, it's something you will see, and there are mages, but traditionally, not a large amount. So
we chatted about Watt for a bit earlier briefly, and I don't think I've ever seen him cast a spell or a ritual or anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously he must do. But it must just be pure coincidence that I haven't.
No. Again, this is kind of. I mean, luckily the chat's kind of being amazing as always. But that some people have said like there are mages in the marches. Don't get me wrong. It's not a case of like, oh no magic in the marches at all. No. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of very like clanky individuals who have big weapons opposed to magic. So there's a fair few like ritual like groups and like there's a few like battle mages and stuff like that, and healers which I've gone out with and have saved my life on multiple occasions. So
well, there's some pause for thought for anyone potentially wanting to join the marches. You might be able to make some decent mage game.
Yeah, do it. We need more mages, but as long as you're not doing it privately, otherwise we'll find you.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. There you go. We can do archetypes now. I just needed to know.
No, I want to talk about magic more. Let's talk about the thing I have no clue about, really. That was Magic was my Magic was in the league when I was there for around 2 and a bit years. I was a battle mage there. I knew much more about Magic back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What about rituals? What's your ritual knowledge?
Oh, well, the fact that I basically demanded something from an Eternal, and the person leading the ritual went, "If you ever do that again, we'll probably blow up." So I was like, "Oh, okay, nice." And then, literally, the ritual after, someone was doing, I think, Whisper Through the Black Gate,
Oh, yeah.
did it wrong, and a load of wraiths came out and started killing everyone. So yeah, I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I like the ritual game anymore. Like, it's really scary."
Amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, archetypes. Let's go.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
When we say let's go, there's 9.
There are.
Okay.
So,
Buckle yourself in.
but I mean, like without, yeah. I mean, just give a stint thing. So, I'll list one, and then you maybe give a Finian Smud answer to what these are.
Oh,
These
God,
archetypes
okay.
are. So,
So
so
Well,
we
let's
have
let's
stewards.
let's kick it
Yeah.
off. What archetype is Smud?
So that's good. Thank you. Finn is a yo folk. So yeah, I am kind of the bread and butter, I guess you could say, of the marches. So
Is
yeah,
is that not a Dornish one as well?
well, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeoman is the.
Yeah, I think it's yeoman, or I think it's like traditionally like more yo folky now. But yeah, so they're kind of like your traditional, like, earthy, like, individual, does a lot of farm work, does like a bit of military service every now and then. But yeah, you'll find that a large amount of people, at least like in armies and so on, will be like yeomen. So yeah. So yeah, that's me. Down to earth, does a lot of farming, gets in the occasional scrap. Like
Gets his hands dirty.
That's it. Yeah, gets a lot of stuff dirty. Yeah,
True grit. Yeah, that's him.
yeah. I get myself into trouble most of the time, but yeah, yeah. So that's your yo folk or your yeoman. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and steward. Let's talk about stewards.
Oh, okay. So traditionally, like the stewards are kind of like the heads of like each of the marcher houses. So the steward basically like organizes everything. Traditionally, like they'll like work with the yo folk, like to organize what's going on the farms and so on. We actually have a stewards meeting in the marches where all of the heads of the houses can come together and go, okay, look, let's work together to kind of like sort out what's going on. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but again, that's marcher, like as a wise person once said, that's marcher business, not for outsiders. So yeah. So yeah, that's kind of your steward, kind of your head honcho of the house, I guess you could say.
And then I guess going into what's described as an informal police force.
Oh, you're on about beaters, aren't you?
I think the name sounds pretty good. The beaters, yeah.
Yeah, so beaters, yeah, are kind of like the marcher, kind of like version of like the militia, I guess you could say. I mean, they definitely aren't the militia. Let's just point that out now.
TM.
But yeah, basically, we basically, the beaters basically keep an eye out for like stuff going on in marcher territory. So we're talking about like disputes, like sorting out thieves and like people like trying to steal and stuff like that.
So they take the law into their own hands.
Well, again, it's kind of that marcher business, like I just said. Like, so if you come over and there's like 5 or 6 marchers and they're all shouting, if you're from like the League or Wintermark, you come over like, oh, what's going on? They'll probably turn around and be like, "That's marcher business, mate. You go on your way. Like, this don't concern you." So yeah.
Interestingly,
that's like
I definitely didn't just read this, but interestingly, they have a role of beating the bounds. They're very much like bounders.
Wow.
In
beating
Hobbit
the
lore.
bounds. Beating the bounds is kind of a tradition that the marchers do, basically to get kind of rid of all the spirits and check like the outskirts to make sure that like there's no like problems going on. So yeah.
Did we beat the bounds at the Mitwald player event? Is that what we did?
We did beat the bounds. Yeah, we walked around the entire camp, didn't we? And was basically making a ton of noise and stuff like that. It's basically to scare away anything, and make people aware what's going on.
And somehow Saren still got in.
Yeah, I got around it.
You'll see. that happening occasionally at like Empire or like player events. One thing to point out as well is that traditionally beaters are archers. I mean, they're not all archers, but a lot of them are, because a lot of them will typically come from like maybe like a hunting background potentially. So if you talk to any of most of the archers in the marches, they will probably say that they're some form of beater. So yeah.
Cool.
I guess going on to some more. We have monks and friars. Now,
okay.
To me sound spiritual.
Yeah.
But what's the difference, I guess?
Yeah, good. So one of them is more about like external, like more like imperial like politics. So you'll be, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that's your monks. And they're basically more about like studying, like, I don't know, the way. They'll typically be in monasteries. There was a big battle, for Bill's Abbey a long time ago with the ice giants, which involved that sort of stuff. And then the Jotun destroyed it. Ooh. Well, they actually built a little shrine. But then more friars are more like internal politics. So they'll be like working with like stewards, yo folk, and so on, to basically like make sure they're following the way and stuff like that. Teaching and so on, and like telling more like younger imperial citizens about what's going on.
Are they kind of a bit like preachers, sort of?
I guess you could say so. Yeah. I'll be honest. Like when I've talked to both friars and monks, like they do have fairly similar mindsets, but obviously their objectives are different. Like so, yeah. Like if you want to, it just depends on what you want to do. Do you want to be more like outgoing and like deal with the marches as a whole, and not really worry about internal politics? Then you go like chat to a monk or something like that, and making sure that like the marches as a whole is good. If you're looking for like like internal politics, maybe like a set house, then like a certain house might have a friar or something like that, or maybe settling disputes between houses.
Older folk.
Yeah, more wiser, I would say. Yeah. Traditionally, when I've interacted with both of these individuals, what was I going to say? Oh, someone's just commented it's going to get changed soon. There we go.
Yeah, so older folk is being another archetype essentially.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, yeah.
Which
I
was going to say.
I see. I thought they were changing friar to.
No, I think they're changing alderman to older folk. Whereas alderman is a sort of a self-adopted title in Wintermark, which is basically a similar role to what's going to be called older folk in, which is like sort of without doing. Well, I mean, you could tell us about it if you want, Stu. But
no. I'll be brutally honest. Like the religious side of the marches is probably the least I have the knowledge about. So yeah, I've chatted to like priests and stuff like that, and bless, they're fantastic. But some of the times I'm like, oh geez, this is a lot to take on.
The priest games.
Am I a heretic? I don't know. Oh god, no, I'm being burnt at the stake. Oh no.
I was going to say, sorry. Older folk is a different archetype, which is to do with trading and stuff. By the looks of it, sorry, without confusing it with what we were just talking about, monks and friars.
Okay,
sorry, we got because we jumped into what was commented in the chat, which was a name change of that archetype. So yeah, so another archetype is alderman, which is.
I'm assuming
that was one we were going to come up to.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm assuming. I'm assuming they're going to change to yo folk as well. I was just looking on the wiki.
I'm pretty sure that they're going to be changing it to yo folk.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is cool. Yeah. In regards to like the older folk, so someone put townies. Townies not working the land, they're too busy making money. So typically they're kind of the leaders of like your kind of your stalls and your markets and stuff like that. They're your more slightly, I personally would say, like your more wealthy marchers. So you'll notice that typically they'll have like a lot of pewter garments on them and stuff like that. And they'll usually look a little more well off than your grubby Finian Smuds, I would say. So yeah,
Feel a bit more in trade almost. type
that's
thing.
it. Yeah, typically more traders. You'll probably find more of them, like I said, around Mitwald and places like that, where there's a lot more like market, like towns and currency. So yeah.
Cool. Which it's nice. Like a lot of nations have archetypes that cover most aspects of the game, and like we've gone sort of religion, trading, sort of things in Wintermark language,
Yeah.
which is like header groups. We've got Landskeeper next, which
Oh yes, this is traditionally your more like magical like sort of areas of the marches. So they'll basically use rituals and like magical like abilities to rich and enhance the land. So one of the most common things that marcher farmers will do is they'll get rituals put on their farms to increase their like output that their farm produces. There's basically 4 tiers to this like magical enhancement, and they typically will help other marchers to improve their land, obviously provided they have the mana and so on, which has helped me out to no end. So yeah, so as well as that, obviously, yeah, they're dealing with like magical stuff like traditionally in the marches. So yeah, well above Finn's pay grade, I'll tell you that much. So
and the next archetype, which I think's possibly one of my favourite sounding ones.
oh, the
is
mummers.
The mummers.
You're going to say the
yeah.
mummers. It's not going to be Thresher, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, the mummers. Oh dear, this is a bit of a fun one. So mummers basically love to play music. I can tell you that much. So yeah, mummers basically is an archetype where, how do I describe it? They can be considered a bit trickstery, I guess you could say, or like a bit like mischievous potentially. But they also love like putting on a show, providing some of the finest marcher music that you'll ever hear. A lot of the marchers love their songs. If you've ever stood near the marchers at the Sentinel Gate, you will have heard the marchers singing a variety of songs, either like I'm trying to think now off the top of my head. You got like Hedgehog War Song. Chat will say some, and I'll remind them later.
Help us, chat.
Yeah, please help. My brain's gone to mush.
Hey, your mummers.
It's all right. We're
yeah,
nearly there, Stu. You can do it.
Yeah. Oh bless. No, not Benji Bellows. That doesn't count. That was written by Finney and Smud. And it's a terrible song.
Whoa, hang on. We haven't heard this.
Yeah.
Surely live
let's move
performance
on.
right now.
Yeah, no. Trust me, you don't want your viewers to go deaf. No, it's funny. It's funny. Someone's put "pay your mummers." Yeah, always pay your mummers. If you don't, yeah, you'll get a right hiding, basically. But yeah, if you ever come to the Marcher camp, you'll usually find that there's a group of individuals who are playing music. They're also, I personally would say, this is a personal opinion, they're extremely helpful for if you're ever nervous, or like maybe you're having a bit of a bad time or something like that, or you just want to sit down and chill, because Anvil can be quite a hectic place. You find a mummer or someone like that who's willing to chat with you, and they'll sit down and they'll have a chat, and they'll be like, let's play some songs, let's talk about what you're doing, let's do this and do that. Mummers they've really helped me out on once or twice when I've been a bit down. So yeah, definitely pay your mummer. If you don't, then yeah, you're gonna get showered at. Yes.
Okay, excellent. And you've already said it, but this leaves our last archetype, which is a Thresher.
Yeah, the sorcerer hunters. Yeah. So yeah, basically, you know how beaters earlier I was going on about basically patrol the marcher lands and make sure that everything's going on properly. Well, the Threshers are basically like they are the magical police version of that, I guess you could say. Basically, Thresher's job is to sort out any mischievous goings on with magic. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, I read earlier somewhere someone saying, like, in Marcher's edition, if you were to do magic sort of like in private, maybe that's kind of seen as suspicious, or
very
sorcery.
much so. It's like, yeah, why are you not sharing? What is going on? You know, why are you not telling us what magic you're doing? Are you doing something to curse my land? Are you doing something to maybe turn my friend into a babbling maniac? You know, which wouldn't be
Or
that
a
hard
cat.
in my case. Or a cat. Okay, that will, yeah, maybe that. Oh God, I need to get some threshers. No, but it's a nice archetype if you like, kind of doing like the. Because sorcery does go on, like, you know, which is basically bad magic if that hasn't been covered already. But yeah, that can happen, and it's nice that there is kind of almost a division of the marches that, you know, is like solely like designed to track down, like, you know, evil magic users. I say, oh, not evil, just miscreants. I think that's the word. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, threshers are always quite fun to chat to. So although the few that I've talked to are usually very like suspicious, especially if you do start like talking about magic, they're like going, "Oh yeah, you make sure you're doing that properly, yeah, because if you're not, that, you know, that'll be a hiding, going to take all your apples. No, please,
My apples.
yeah, please, no, not my apples, no." So yeah, I'm pretty sure that covers all the archetypes. And then yeah, you've got the well, I say the new one, yeah, the newish kind of like rediscovered archetype, which will be the Brightsmiths. Which again, unfortunately I don't know much about that, but that's going to be one to keep an eye out for.
Watch
Coming
this
soon.
space.
Yeah, that's it. Keep your eyes open. New artisan archetype coming to the marches. Buy yours now.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible segue.
Oh wait, is this going to be better than the perfect segue earlier?
It is. It already is, because it's incredible. This leads us into the final smidgen
Oh,
of
Oh.
it had to happen
Boo.
eventually.
the final
This is the end.
times of Finny and Smudd.
Whoa,
So
what?
yeah, what?
Finian's dead. Next event.
If we haven't done a good enough job already talking about the marches
Oh.
and selling it to anyone who's watching this, how could you, in your words, sell the marches to a new player who doesn't know what they're doing, or don't know what nation to join, or an old player who's thinking about shifting nations?
Okay. All right. I'll keep this short and sweet, so that'll probably be a good 5 minutes. The marches, from what I've said earlier, is one of the most friendly nations I've ever been a part of. We all get together. We have our disputes on the field, but if you ever have a dispute with someone, you're more than likely going to get approached by that person and double checked if everything was okay out of character. We've got a very well organized, well, I say well organized, a fairly well organized system in regards to like sorting out rituals, mana, magic, farms, policies, as well as there's a bit of everything for every player. If you want to come in and you want to start up an eel license company, you can do that. If you want to come in and run for a position, you can do that. If you want to be a senator, you can get enough people behind you and do that. And the one thing I would say is that you can meet any marcher, virtually any marcher, I won't say any marcher, and so long as you haven't ticked them off, they will be more than happy to have a good old chat with you and have a laugh. Also, we have the best apples in the Empire, spread the word. Anyone says otherwise, then they're lying.
That's the kicker.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's what I would say.
Brilliant.
Great. Well, you got me thinking.
Oh, looks like I'm trying to Wintermark to grab more individuals.
Hold on. He says
the
this after.
indoctrination begins.
He says this after every one that we do.
I didn't say it after the VAR.
Matt,
I did say it after the Orc.
Matt, I know that you've said it after a lot of them, but this one you're actually being serious, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. And I think the only thing that puts me off being a marcher is it's too close to home, because in body I am already a marcher.
Oh, bless.
In OC I'm a marcher.
We're already West Country, aren't we?
We are always taking on honorary marches. So yeah.
I might have to be.
I mean, if you're lying, then you will be going in a grow bag, and if you know what that means, you know what that means. So yeah.
Brilliant.
My trees could use some good soil. So yeah.
Well, Stuart, this has been very enjoyable. I
No,
don't.
do you know what? You guys have been enjoyable. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, you. I
You
don't know if you.
karma.
I don't know if
No,
you'd be up
you.
for it. But we've just started. It was the last one we did. We started a get to know the player. I think it'd be
Okay.
very fun to have you back on in the future to do a deeper dive into that and learn a bit more about you.
Yeah, well, I would love that.
Because obviously
I can do it down in my tavern when I've got the Wi-Fi hooked
Well,
up.
it's funny that you mention that because that is
What an incredible segue.
that is an incredible
Oh
segue.
no, don't actually do.
Because if you're happy to, we have the video ready to go for everyone to see if they haven't seen it. Because it's it's so good. It's such an amazing.
It's gonna be
thing.
like, oh, this guy's a bit too addicted to LARP. Jeez.
No. This is going to be. Everyone's going to be extremely jealous that you've got this
Okay.
amazing thing in your garden.
Fine.
Should we sign off, and then as we sign off,
The finisher.
we can leave it with the video playing without our ugly mugs on, and you can enjoy.
My camera's still
The
stuck, by the way.
famed- Yeah, we got. You need to sort it out.
We'll refresh it after.
It must be a signal. Yeah, and we could leave everyone with an absolutely wonderful experience.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
All
that's a
right. Well,
good
thank
idea.
you so much for having me on, and bye, everyone.
Thank you very much, Stu.
Thanks, Stu. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It's been a really good one as always tonight. We'll catch you all on the next one, which will be a Frost stream, I believe.
Probably.
Because then it's the week after. It'll be E3 2023.
Wowsy.
Yeah.
It's come around fast.
Yeah, it really is. It's really approaching swiftly, too swiftly. So yeah, that will also be on. We're going to do it, Matt. We're going to do it on YouTube next time, and I'm going to prepare for it. We're going to do it. We're going to do a YouTube live stream instead of a Twitch.
Okay.
Actually, V has just reminded me there was a question for you, Stu.
No.
I forgot about questions at the end because it was just V that said one. Would you rather drink 1 pint of cider made from mouldy apples? Oh, this is for Finian. This is for.
Sorry. Let me get my voice on. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So would you rather drink 1 pint of cider made from mouldy apples or kiss an eel?
I'm going to go with the mouldy cider, although my brother would kill me. So, yeah.
I'm telling him.
Excellent.
Who's eel?
Easy.
That's the new mantra joining next time.
Now, jeez, yeah.
Right. Come on, enough silliness. Let's get to this.
All right, sorry. March of comedy, yeah.
I'm joking. Thanks again, Steve, for coming on.
All right,
really good.
Thank you. All right.
Very enjoyable end to the weekend.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll leave you with the Tavern video. I hope it's not too loud. I haven't checked the audio for it or anything. I've just bunged it into OBS. And we'll catch you on the next one.
So brace your ears.
Yeah, brace your ears.
Bye.
Bye.
If you're all okay, big news for me today, as well as I guess you. My tavern is finally complete, which I've been working on for a while. Thank you to a lot of individuals, for example Rich and a gentleman called Lee and Steve, who have helped me do this, but I just wanted to give a little tour. Welcome to my tavern. So it's kind of like welcome to my crib. So as you can see, we've got a nice little weapons kind of like area here. Don't worry, these are fake, okay? They are plastic. They're not plastic, they're latex. If you follow me around here, we've got kind of like the small orchardy area with just a few little props and so on. These trees were here when we moved in. Luckily we've managed to incorporate them, which is a big plus. Got a nice little seating area outside because the weather is lovely at the moment, although it was raining today. So yeah, got a few little props there. Then as we come down, we come to the main meat, I guess you could say, of the video, which is the tavern. Yet to be named, still working on a name for that. But if you want to follow me inside, this is literally brought me to tears yesterday. I was so happy about this. But as you can see, we've got a full bar, okay, very sturdy. Please do not try and run into it if you ever come over. If you want to come around the side, that's it, Ali. If you want to, my mum's recording because she's amazing. We've got drinks and stuff ready to go. There's a few bits down there which are for me to know and for you to find out. All the tankards and bottles, as well as this lovely picture that was done by Katie. So yeah, that's fantastic. That was framed. We've got the seating area. Okay, so just obviously you want to sit down, as well as a map of the Empire. So it is a bit out of date if you pause and try and figure out what's wrong with it. There's no hole yet. Yeah, so that's that. We've got a few little bits on the top. Oh, that's not right. It should be oak strong, not birch strong. Who did that? Oh, dear me. I'm sure, hope no one gets upset about that, Max. We've also got a role-playing effect as well. So, hey, you know, if you want to keep it icy. And then follow me, we got the back quickly. One thing that I was massively happy about is we managed to incorporate an oak tree, a birch tree, I should say, which was here when we got here. So that was very helpful. And then finally, we've got the back area, which just needs a bit of tidying up, but it's pretty much done. Pay no attention to the skull down here, an unwilling participant who didn't pay their tab, basically, and a few bits of graffiti as well. But cut a long story short, I'm so proud of this. And again, I just want to thank everyone who helped me. Okay, bye.